What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. I am so excited about this interview that I have for you guys. So today we interviewed Megan, who was actually the at-home winner of The Biggest Loser this most recent season. I can't believe how just this interview was so much fun. I think that there's a lot of really good information, and I'm just really happy. I mean, Megan is an awesome person, and I really think that she did a great job explaining a lot of things that I didn't really know about this season. And I'm really thankful that I was able to make these videos before about The Biggest Loser, and one of the contestants was able to come on and explain some things and talk about what it was like, talk about her time. You know, again, she was the at-home winner, so she ended up getting eliminated, but then at home, she did the best job and was able to win $25,000, and she's still doing so well. And so I'm really excited for you guys to check out this video. So again, without further ado, thank you, Megan, and let's get into it. Megan, thank you so much for coming on the channel and agreeing to be interviewed by me.
Yeah, I'm here for it all day.
So I was actually, it was funny, the way that we connected was, it wasn't like I was like messaging a bunch of people like, come on my YouTube channel, I want to talk to you. You actually reached out to me, and I didn't see it until I had said that I wanted to do an interview with someone on the show, and you actually you messaged me before I even made the video where I was talking about that. So I thought that was really cool. But I just kind of wanted to get straight into, you know, your time with The Biggest Loser. I think something that I do kind of want to talk about a little bit before we get into, you know, being on the show, just about like how you got up to your highest weight and like what that was like, if you had been overweight your whole life. And then I would love to know like how you ended up on the show, what that process was like.
Sure. I have been overweight my entire life, or had been overweight my entire life. And so it was kind of just a gradual climb. I peaked at my highest at 341 in 2017. And I probably wouldn't have started making a transition on like a mental note of like, this needs to change. But I started having, like, my legs started feeling very like inflamed and very tight. I remember shaving one day thinking, I feel as though if the razor were to like cut my leg, it would like bust. Like, that's how tight they felt. And so from that point is when I really started to just, you know, listen, I've been in the fitness industry since 2008. So we're talking like almost 10 years, and I still hadn't, you know, figured it out for myself. I think that for me, the biggest thing was coming to a place where I loved myself for who I was at any weight. I think a lot of times I had tried to lose the weight based off of, oh, maybe this will bring me the happiness that I'm looking for, or all those things I feel like are missing in my life, like, which really, you know, like, it's Jesus is the answer. But like, I was thinking that if I lost weight, it would bring me all those things. And it wasn't really until 2017 where I started to make that turning point for myself. And it started with just small walks. I had auditioned for The Biggest Loser 2 times before my season. So this was the 3rd time. I'm really thankful that I didn't make it on those other 2 times, because I don't think I was at a place mentally where I would have been able to sustain the weight loss or keep going, because my motive behind the weight loss had always been to fulfill a void, or that it would lead me to like all this happiness that I thought I was missing. Like, I always thought that weight was really my root problem, which it wasn't. Surprise. Spoiler alert, your weight is not the problem. So from there, I, you know, just started turning my life around slowly, like started losing a little bit of weight. And then I saw The Biggest Loser was coming back, and I thought, you know what? Now it's like common competition mode. Like, now it's like, I am tired of having to modify my life every day with, you know, not being able to keep up with my friends for exercise. I'm an outdoors kind of girl, so I like to hike, I like to do water activities. Not being able to do those things and keep up, that's what I realized, that's what's missing. It's not that I'm not valuable, it's that I can't physically keep up, and that's putting a damper on my life. So that's really where I came from for my motive for this season. So, you know, there I went, applying once again, and you have to create a ton of videos, you know, be 100% yourself. They're looking for people who really are, you know, looking to change, but also authentic. Definitely not looking for actors. I'm like, I can tell you that right now. And, you know, people who are just really ready to make the change.
Yeah,
So I
think that's incredible that, especially like you said, you you wanted to make sure that you're glad that you weren't on the first 2 times, because you wanted to make sure that you were at a position where you can make it sustainable. And I don't know how much, like, on my videos you've seen, but that's like my favorite word is sustainability. And when it comes to losing weight, when it comes to maintaining weight, like, a diet and an exercise plan that is sustainable is much more important than one that gets you to lose weight really, really fast, or like whatever it might be. And so that is actually kind of a perfect kind of transition, I think, into actually being on the show. So what was it like when you found out that you were finally actually going to be on the show, and what was the experience like when you first got there?
So when I first got there, when I first found out, I was like, is this real? Like, is this real? And then there's this moment of, oh my gosh, like, am I really cut out for this? Like, wait a minute, I was like on my way, like I was doing okay. Like, am I cut out for this? Am I competitive enough? And do I have really what it takes to make this, like, I have to wake up and eat, breathe, sleep this for the next X amount of weeks for as long as I can last on the show? Do I have it in me? So, my first day on set, you know, you're filming right away. So, and right away, you've got to be vulnerable. And for me, right away, it was kind of hard because I kept thinking, like, how is this going to be portrayed? How am I going to sound? But then in the back of your mind, you're like, I have to be as real as possible right now and be as vulnerable as possible if it's going to help impact somebody else's life. And so for me, it was like, you have no time at all to kind of like unreal, you know, like peel back the onion and like work through this. It's like, lay your issues out. Like, we've got a minimal time to get through them. Mm-hmm. So for me, that was kind of like, it was a rush of emotion, adrenaline. And I mean, I was scared and excited all at once. It was a lot of emotion.
And then what was the experience like living there? Because I think that's one of the things that most people, I think everyone isn't able to really see with the show, which is understandable. I mean, they're hour-long episodes each week. So, and you guys are there all week long. And so what was it like staying in the house with all these people? What was like the food? Because the thing that I'm the most interested in, I know you've seen my videos that I kept harping on, is what is the food like? What's going on in the kitchen? How are they eating? Like, and I'm still so bummed that it was never really answered. Like, I really think still that was something that was missed. Again, obviously that's not your fault, but like, it just wasn't talked about very much. And I maybe it's just me, but I'm so curious of like what that was like, what the kitchen was like. How did you cook your own food? Did people cook your food for you? Like, what was it like there?
Okay, this is my favorite part. Disclaimer, I can only speak for my season, right?
Okay. Of course.
All we know is what we've all seen. Okay, so I was hoping, right? Because I'm not a good cook. So I was hoping like someone's gonna make my meal, someone's gonna teach me how to do this, right? No, wrong. What it is you meet with a nutritionist. Okay, obviously we're all at different places in our weights, where we want to go, what we need to do to sustain ourselves. So I'm from the fitness industry. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, calories in, calories out, cut, right? That's what I'm thinking. Wrong. So right away when I meet with the nutritionist, she hands me a thing, and my calories to me look very high. Like, I'm like, 2,000 calories? Like, that's too much. You know, I'm thinking that's way too many. But what it is she broke down exactly what our calories, you know, what they're going to be consisting of. Steve also helped me a lot with counting macros. So we meet with the nutritionist. She kind of goes over each of us individually. It's one-on-one. She asks what kind of foods we like. And then there's like a ton of recipes that she gives us. Like, here's the recipe. And it breaks down what is all in it and how to modify things for the things we love. I love tacos. I mean, anything Mexican really. So like for me, being able to make a taco salad, that was a big deal, because I'm like, I can make this at home. I can live off this. I can eat every night. Like, I'm set. If I can eat this and like still lose weight, we're golden. From after meeting with the nutritionist, from there, they would, you know, obviously we don't leave campus. Like, you're not sneaking off, you know. There was a Dairy Queen. We kept seeing signs for a Dairy Queen like 5 miles down the road. So it was like our inside joke of like, if you catch me running one night, you know where I'm just like her secret escape. None of us could have made that 5 miles, by the way, so don't worry. Nobody tapped into Dairy Queen. But, you know, so they go out, they shop, they fill a fridge full of the foods that were allowed. Like, I don't want to say allowed, you can have whatever you want, right? Like, it's your choice. But they, you know, the recommended foods for us, like the healthier foods. So lean meats, vegetables, fruits, you know, obviously we had some nuts. So there are going to be healthy fats. So really not a lot of processed foods. And I wish that I could say, hey, there's like this magic formula that I'm going to give you, and you're going to lose all the weight you want, and you're going to lose it so quick. But there's not. It's everything that we already know. We know that processed foods, your body's not going to process them the right way. We know it's going to take harder. We know that if you're eating, if you're only looking at calories, your calories for the day can be filled with all processed carbs. Well, guess what? Your body's going to feel inflamed. It's not going to process it right. You're not going to be fueled for what you need to do. So I think for me, the biggest thing is, our refrigerators were full. We had 2 of them. They were full of the things that it was almost like a guideline. Here's your meal plans. Like, here's an idea of a meal for the day. Here's different food groups. I love that I don't want to say dumbed it down, but they dumbed it down. So like, what is a carb? And then they would put all the foods that could be considered a carb. What is a protein? What is, you know what I mean? And then, even deeper is like, guess what? There are some carbs in your, vegetables. So surprise, like spoiler alert, you don't have to get them from bread. So really learning different things about food and how food's going to fuel my body. The coolest thing ever is that when you start to kind of shed all the things that you were eating before and like really just start to clean up your diet, your body is going to react so well. And for me, the thing I love the most about, I don't want to say learning to eat differently. I think we all kind of know like what to eat for the most part. But I want to say that when you allow yourself to really just stick to it, now when I tried like foods from before, like something simple like rice, it doesn't sit well with me. Some people can eat rice and feel fine. I feel really tired and all of a sudden my energy is gone. So I know I don't want it in my diet anymore. So little tricks like that work for me. And I've learned that from being on campus. We had to cook our own food. So there was days where I may have starved had it not been for other contestants. I will tell you this too. They, from my season, they were very cautious about what we were eating. They wanted to make sure that we were eating enough. We do work out all day long. We're getting up in the morning for 90 minutes of cardio. We're working out midday, working out evening. There's movements in between. So there's a lot of working out, and you have to fuel your body. A big mistake that I've made in the past is skipping the process. I am the queen of fad diets. HCG, loved it. Don't eat anything, put these drops in your mouth. You're going to be skinny in 3 weeks. Sign me up. Mm-hmm. So that's something that I loved when I was, trying to lose weight, is like, what's the next fad diet? How can I stick to it? How many weeks do I have to starve myself? And I can tell you from experience that anytime I were to drop in my calories, the scale would also stop moving. It goes against you. It moves against everything that you're working for. If you skip the process, like you try to skip the process, if you try to skip like, oh, let me just see if I can cheat and get extra few pounds off, it doesn't work. And what I love is our nutritionists, the nutritionists on the show, our coaches, our trainers, the producers, everybody, they wanted to make sure that we were 100% sticking to our macros, sticking to our calories, and not under eating. And I know that it's easy to try to do. It's easy to want to do because you think like, oh, I could get ahead, I could get an advantage. But honestly, like it backfires every time. And so if I could encourage anybody on the food thing is like, please don't undereat. It's probably one of the worst things that you could do for your body.
Yeah, I would say that when it comes to like under eating, it's one of those things that you can do it for a certain amount of time, right? Like you can eat 700 calories for a few days. That's what I struggled with binge eating for a long time because that's what I was doing. But eventually you're going to end up just binging on a ton of food. So it usually ends up, you actually end up eating more calories anyways in the long run. Yep. And so one thing that I wanted to ask about, and that, because I mean, that whole environment has to be so interesting, right? Like there's all of these people living in a house that all probably have different issues with food, and everyone's trying to lose weight. Were there like some people that, because obviously it seems like you had a pretty good base of knowledge before you went in. And so were there like some people like maybe you that would maybe help some of the other people that might have no knowledge, or was it really like, it didn't seem like it was super competitive and no one talked to each other, but like what was the environment like? Were there some people that you're like, okay, let's help this person out a little bit more? They seem to not really be getting it, stuff like that.
Yes. So the cool thing is we were totally a mix, totally Mod Podge of people. There were people who understood about the fitness industry and some who had no idea. Some people who didn't know how to count calories. I would say for most, everybody could read the label and figure it out. But I think that understanding what they're reading, what is the macro? What is that broken up to? How many proteins do you need? Carbs, fats, what's best for me? That I think was so huge with, at least our contestants, is that we were thrown in this house, and honestly, like, you instantly were just bonded with them. So how the house is set up is there's like rooms on one side for the girls, rooms on the other side for the boys. There was 2 people per room. Towards like halfway through, like when some of the girls had been eliminated, like Kyle and Jim moved over to our side. You know what I mean? Like, so we're just all mixed together. Like, they didn't care. But we were all so close. And I think the really cool thing about that is I know that the show is about competition, and we all knew that. But I think we were just so bonded to each other that somebody else's win and success was just as much important as our own. Even to this day, we still have a group text. We text each other every day. We're always in communication, always making sure we're pushing each other. And there were times where, you know, some, like, if we would see somebody, you know, maybe they're like mixing something, or maybe it's like, hey, like that actually like is not the right serving, like we should probably measure that out. For me, it was like having somebody come and be like, hey Megan, like here's how we cook chicken on the stove. You know what I mean? You don't have to boil it every time. Here's how we can bake chicken.
Here's how you can make it not taste like nothing.
They're like, Megan, you keep eating the pre-cooked boiled eggs. Like, we need to help you out. But, you know, just, it was really cool to see, you know, I know that there was a lot of times where Jim in the kitchen, Jim and Christy and Kimmy were always cooking, helping people cook, you know, like Christy would be like, I made extra veggies. Do you need them for your meal today? I made this, I made that, you know, and it really just, and then, you know, even like little things like she braided my hair for me a couple times, you know, like it's just, it was really, it felt like a family. And, you know, I never went away to college. I can imagine this is what it was like. You live in a dorm, there's all these people in tight quarters, you share a room with somebody, but they really became like family. And I think the dynamic of us supporting each other is what caused us to all do so well. And I know this sounds kind of silly because, you know, you're there every day, so you're going to see results no matter what, as long as you're putting in an effort. But during this time right now, like the COVID time and how uncertain everything is, I have to say that, you know, obviously I think the show did something really well this time because we're all still pushing hard. And I think that emotional triggers, you know, we all learn each other's emotional triggers when we're in the house together. When you're in a house with all these people, like every single day, all day long, and they're all you have, we don't have phones, we don't have communication to the outside world, like it's just us. You learn what makes somebody else tick and what sets them off, and, you know, where they're coming from and why maybe they put on the weight. And so what's really unique is now we're in this situation where we're all under stress, and it's like, okay, so are we going to cope the way we used to, or are we going to take the tools that we learned and cope in a new way and find a new way to make it through this? And I think that's what's so unique about the bond that we had.
Yeah, I am so happy that you say that and everyone's doing well, because that's what I want, right? And I would hope that the people that are watching, that's what everyone wants, right? Like everyone wants you guys to be doing well on the show, but then obviously the most important thing is to be doing well afterwards, because I'm sure you've seen my videos and you've seen the negativity about The Biggest Loser. Maybe not about your season because we don't know yet, but before, so many of the people would lose all this weight, but then they would gain it back. Or there was the whole series and the study that was about the metabolic damage that some of the people had dealt with from being on the show. So I mean, obviously for me, I hope everyone is still doing super well. And, you know, I would love to speak to more people and see how they're doing. But one thing that I did want to talk about as well was like, what was it like with like having the coaches, how much in contact? Cause I'm assuming that it's not like they were there every single day, right?
Most of the days they were there. Most of the days they were there. So, you know, they would come in, they would do workouts with us. So I would say maybe we didn't see them maybe one day a week. Okay. But we were still active. Now, we didn't see them the entire day. So they would give us homework. So, you know, for the morning, this is the kind of cardio we want you doing. Or for, you know, the afternoon, we want you guys to hit this many walks. Or making sure, you know, if you're waiting in line for an interview, like you're doing step ups or you're constantly moving. Working with the trainers, to be honest, now I've been in the fitness industry, so I'm picky, right? Like, I'm sure you could tell from my attitude on the show. I was super surprised. So Erica, I had followed for quite some time before actually going on the show. Was so surprised when I saw her. I knew nothing about Steve at all, but both of them came with a lot of knowledge. I loved Erica that she came with the fact that she's been there and she's been able to sustain her weight loss, and now she's taking us to it. And then I love with Steve is that he just has so much knowledge of the industry, but he also understands things like binge eating or under eating. He understands all of that because he was a competitor. And so I think it's really rich to have both of those dynamics of somebody who comes from like almost both like extreme sides of the spectrum, like somebody who was overweight and somebody who was like super competitive their entire life. Having them there every day was huge for us. I think that their support, and I mean, I know it's silly because Steve, like it like seemed like Steve and I didn't really get along, but we did. I love Steve with all my heart. But I think the one thing that I appreciate is that they're very honest with us and real and would check us. So if we're emotional or start doing something that's kind of like funky or we're in a mood, like it's like, check yourself, you know what I mean? And like, this is the kind of behaviors that lead to, you know, destructive. Where I know on the show, Mike had talked about, you know, when he'd go home and drink and when he was, you know, before the show, and, you know, Steve's telling him like, when you get home, you need to get into a support group. Mm-hmm. And I think that's an aspect that people forget, is that this journey, it should not be done alone. Like this journey, you're going to need support. You're going to need somebody motivating you every day. Maybe not the same person, but you're going to need something from those people that are in your lives. Or, you know, for me, I wiped out all the accounts online that made me feel like I would compare myself to them. So if I was constantly looking at them and like, oh, I wish I looked like her, I got rid of it. And instead I found people who inspired me, people who had been where I was and are now where I want to be, because then I knew if they could do it, I could do it. And so now that's my heart, right? If I can do it, trust me, you can absolutely do it.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Well, like so that was something that I couldn't tell through watching. I wasn't sure, because the way it almost seemed was the coaches were only there on like the one workout per week that they would film, it seemed like. Yeah. Or there was, at least from what I remember seeing, it was like each episode was like one workout, and then they'd have some challenge that they would do, and then a weigh-in, and then some like couple. I did like the sessions where they had Bob kind of talking about certain things. Yeah. That was definitely something that was new that I did appreciate, because I just think that those conversations, again, we can't speak for the other seasons, but I'm assuming they probably happened anyways. At least I would hope. But they just maybe didn't film it. So I thought that was really interesting. So that's good to know, and that's good, like, peace of mind, because I didn't know what that was like. And so the next thing that I want to talk about, and I don't want to take too much of your time, but I think that this is unbelievably important. Probably the most important thing about this interview is the fact that you won the at-home prize, right? Yes. So that means, for lack of a better term, you did the best after being eliminated, right? And like you were able to go home and still crush it. So why do you think you were able to do that?
So it may sound repetitive because I have told other people this before, but I think for me, it's because what I took away the most out of everything from the season is ask for help. For me, I need to ask for help. And so, you know, obviously I'm very competitive, and it was devastating. Like, I have never cried that hard in my life, like the night I got eliminated. But, you know, I knew that if I wanted to continue to, one, be in the game still and compete still, I did not have a day to waste. And two, I feel like I owed it to myself to take everything I had just learned and really change my life. And so when I got home, the first thing I did was made like probably 50 phone calls, if not more, to everybody that I knew in the industry. And I said, how can I keep doing this? Like, what can I do? And I asked for help. And every day after I partnered, I'm like in a big relationship. Obviously, you know, my job was Gold's Gym, SoCal, and then Complete Performance Center here in Thousand Oaks. They have stuck by my side every single day. My trainer is still texting me every morning, even though I'm like, we're COVID time. My life.
I need to social distance from you.
I'm like, you and I are taking a break. But, you know, it's having, you know, my best friends, like my best friends, Lacey, Nicole, Amy, Andy, they were all there for me at the finale. But being able to pick up the phone, or being able to text, or being able to open up, you know, social media and say, like, I need help, and then finding it, I think that's the biggest thing, is to say, I'm not too proud to ask for help. And honestly, in some form, I do it every day. And I think that's what's helped me keep going.
Yeah, I think that having those relationships with people, and even if it's just social media, like, that's something that I attribute some of my success to. I think being able to keep the weight off is there's so many people whose eyes are on me, and so it's not like I feel like I have to do it for them, but it just helps me stay motivated. Like, I've been posting my workouts that I'm doing every day here at the house, right, because of everything that's going on, and I'm not posting it because I want people to be like, oh wow, he's so fit, but it's like I want people to see that, like, one, you can still work out at home and still get a good workout, but like me posting it, it's like almost, it's an added layer of, okay, I'm going to work out because I know people are going to want to see these posts that I'm making, you know? And so there's definite, like, the social aspect is huge. And I'm curious because I know that, I mean, the Biggest Loser had been going on for a long time, but the fact that now with how big social media is in this season, and now people were following you guys as the season was going, like if that will be like a helpful thing for a lot of the contestants, right? Like they have these people that are following them, some of them thousands and thousands of people that are following them, and they are motivated by them, but they might help push them as well. So I think that's a really interesting thing that I've been kind of thinking about, and like how maybe that will help some of the contestants that were on the show.
I hope so. I think that, the whole point of doing the show is to help somebody else say, if that girl can do it, I can do it. I would hope that us being on national TV in a sports bra in those awful shorts, I hope that one person can be motivated to, like, it would make it all worth it, but in all honesty, listen, I hope that right now I'm seeing some like mean comments about me. One lady's like, I want to slap that girl in her face. I'm like, oh. But I think, overall, it's like, if I can motivate one person, it's enough reason for me to get up and fight again. Mm-hmm. So I hope the social media thing helps. I hope that it helps motivate people, inspire people. And yeah, I mean, for me, I think it helps keep me going as well, because it's like, they're also my source of help. Like seeing people that I don't even know, like I don't have a ton of like followers on my social media, but like these people who I don't know saying, I watched you and I'm supporting you, or I watched you and I cheered for you. It's like, holy crap. Like these people who don't even know me are cheering me on. Like I owe it to myself, and I also owe it to them to keep fighting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that like having those people that are like, because even for the people that you're inspiring, that's great, but even for you guys, the contestants, having those people kind of look up to you,
absolutely,
that could be a helpful thing. Now, the last question I have, this might be a little controversial, but I am just curious. If I'm assuming you've watched some of the episodes like since it's been done and stuff, like have you? Okay, so is there anything, if you could change something, right? If there was like, okay, I think that this would make the experience, because like for me, I'm coming at it as someone that is 200 pounds overweight, 300 pounds overweight. They're watching The Biggest Loser and they're like, I want to do that, right? Would there be anything, and if the answer is no, then that's fine, but would there be anything that you would change to maybe help that person watching the show either have more realistic expectations or be more successful from watching the show?
Yes. We're going to be very careful. Just kidding. The show, again, is only 1 hour. So we're being filmed 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. You get to see very, very little of what it really takes to lose that amount of weight in that little of time. So what I would say is that, showing, the early morning cardios, the late at night cardios, here's the reality of the situation is you need to be moving a lot. And also the other thing I would change is the nutrition aspect. The show did such a good job, like amazing job with us. I wish you guys could have seen more of that, to say like, here's Megan making her decisions for the day. Here's like what decisions need to be made. Here's like, oh, I'm thinking about food, and maybe like, oh, she does think about food every single second of the day. You know what I mean? Yeah. She is still thinking about the Dairy Queen that's 5 miles down the road. But here's how she's moving through it, and here's how you can move through it as well. I think if there was a way, now I'm not sure, right? Because it's an hour block, and they try to just get them the most, bang for the show. But I think that for me, showing like a true day, but then also breaking down the meals, I think that would have been, or hopefully will be a huge help for somebody.
Yeah, I think that, I would 100% agree with all of that, and I'm sure you're not surprised by that at all. But I was like thinking, the one thing that I think would be cool, but it would be probably horrible for all the contestants, was like if they did something like The Biggest Loser, or not The Biggest Loser, like Big Brother, where it's like if you pay extra, you can watch this stream of like what they're actually doing, because again, it's like I just want people that are watching this show to have a realistic expectation, right? Like that's the most important thing. And like if you see someone like Jim, I think the guy that won, right? That's his name, losing 20 pounds in a week or whatever, like that's not normal if you're just in. It's fine if you don't lose 20 pounds. Like that was my biggest thing, was I don't want someone that loses 4 pounds a week being like discouraged because they're seeing Jim lose 20 pounds, which it's not his fault. Like good on him for doing what he did. But it's like, that's what I'm thinking about, right? I'm thinking about that person that's at home.
It's hard because, cannabis is your new job. So you eat, sleep, drink, everything campus. And if I were to lose 4 pounds in a week right now, I would be like, hell yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'll take it, you know? And I think that what I hope is that people understand that this is a competition but even more than that, like, we're literally going into boot camp to change our lives in a matter of months, to show you that it's possible to change your life and however long it takes you to get there. Everybody's journey is different. So I think that, you know, when people ask me for weight loss advice and how to set goals, I say start with 1 pound. I don't care if you have 300 to lose. You start with 1 pound, and when you hit that, you celebrate it, and then you go to the next pound. And if you just take small steps like that, the 300 pounds will eventually be gone, and you'll be like, holy crap, I did it by losing just 1. Mm-hmm. That's my advice.
Yeah, totally. I 100% agree. One of my favorite sayings, I didn't make this up, but I heard it from someone. It was a guy that lost a lot of weight. He's like, I didn't lose whatever it was, like 200 pounds. I lost 1 pound 200 times.
Oh, I love that.
I agree 100%. Well, I don't want to take up any more of your time. Thank you so much. Like, this interview went so much. I didn't really know what it was going to be, but I think it's really cool that me and you obviously agree on so much. And I think that it's really cool. So I really do appreciate you coming on here. I know that some people maybe would have been a little nervous. You seem to be very, very open. And I think that this is going to help a lot of people. So thank you so much.
Great. I hope so. You're welcome. And thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Obey the warning signs, and when there are flashing lights or wigwags, don't attempt to cross until they come to a complete stop.